Bonjour, and welcome back to the Commerce Collective podcast brought to you by Flywheel. My name is Emma Irwin, your host for the series, and we are recording live from Cannes at the Amazon port. The weather is beautiful, the content is inspiring, and this episode is a special treat because we get to learn about the future of addressability with none other than Amazon themselves. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
I'm Brian Tomasette. I'm the Director of Product for Amazon DSP in Amazon Ads, and I lead product management and engineering teams that are building our ad products for display, video, and audio advertising.
Perfect. And something we usually ask everyone is, what is the last thing you purchased from Amazon?
Yes. So we have a 1-year-old dog, a French pointer. So we're doing the thing where, okay, dog is 1, going from puppy food to big dog food. So I've got probably like 3 or 4 different dog foods that we're trying, some working, some he's not interested in. So instinct dog food is the last thing that I purchased on Amazon.
Dog food is also the last thing that I purchased. My dogs were on subscribe and save, and it just comes every month and like clockwork. And
I forget the subscribe and save on when I try a new one and end up with
many big bags.
Amazon is great with returns, so
sure
not a problem.
Incredible. All right, how has your Cannes been so far?
It's been great. This is my first time at Cannes, nice. So I'm like just overwhelmed by the experience and like the beautiful scenery. And I'm told it's not too hot this year.
Yes.
It seems perfect to me.
Yes, I would say last year it was like just baking in the sun.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're going to be doing this every year. All right. Need to mentally prepare for sunscreen. Lots of sunscreen.
Yes.
Okay, so today we are going to talk about the future of addressability and what Amazon is building to solve for this. And we're going to break this down into 3 different segments. We're going to talk about relevant advertising in a cookieless world. Then we're going to bring it into simplification of tools for the benefit of advertisers. And then we're going to talk about fragmentation in the industry and how to solve via the products that you're working on. So let's start out relevant advertising from the perspective of third-party cookies going away. We know this, and it's no longer a viable option for advertisers to rely on to connect shoppers with relevant ads. Can you first tell me about how this lack of relevancy in a cookieless world impacts advertisers from your perspective?
Consumers want relevant ads, right? But consumers are nervous about the internet and advertising in general, and they care about their privacy, right? So I think a lot of things that are happening in the industry are good things for consumers, but consumers also don't want to kind of virtually walk through the internet and get shown all sorts of things that they're not interested in. So the challenge is, how do you show them relevant ads and give them a positive customer experience? The most Amazonian thing, working backwards from the customer. So the way we approach the problem is not, hey, how do we use ad tech in different ways? The way we approach the problem is, well, what does the consumer want? What's good for the consumer? And what does the advertiser want? And how do we help them grow their business? So when you look at it from that angle, our approach, I think, is really interesting. I think it's really compelling to consumers who do have cookies and consumers who don't have cookies or won't have cookies in the future. We're still able to show them relevant ads, which I think is a great thing.
And how are you showing them?
Yeah, so that's interesting. So if you think about, Amazon is great at deeply understanding the shopper experience. So ad interactions, products, categories, browsing, streaming, right? So Prime Video and some different areas like that, as well as when an advertiser works with us and they activate their data and understanding of their customer, and they can activate this in a privacy safe way through AMC, we can use machine learning and AI, and we can activate on that. So cookies and advertising identifiers are great, and that's fine. But now our advertising platform is no longer based on those as a foundational piece. We're based on AI and machine learning models based on that deep understanding of the shopper experience and the consumer experience, both on and off Amazon.
Got it. And I would love to know, is there any like specific new product that has come out in terms of relevancy?
Yeah, so I think it's been a build over the past, we'll say, 3 years. So 2 years ago at Unboxed, we talked about our launch of contextual advertising.
Yep.
So stepping out of behavioral advertising, being able to use contextual relevancy, and using contextual as intent for what a consumer might purchase in addition to the context of the page. Then last year we talked about modeled audiences. So if you're an advertiser that buys on Amazon DSP, you're used to our standard catalog of audiences, you're used to Audience Builder, you could build all these custom audiences. Now those audiences, starting last year at Unboxed, now work with or without cookies or advertising identifiers through modeling and through machine learning. And then over the past couple weeks, I did a post on Ad Exchanger, and we did a blog post about Performance Plus. So Performance Plus is a new way, if you have signals off Amazon, so you have your own website or you have customer insights that you can activate through AMC or Conversion API, now you can set up a campaign and say, hey, this is my goal, this is my objective, and you can turn on Performance Plus that optimizes towards that goal, simplification, automation, using the ad relevance models and system. But I think the differentiator with Performance Plus that we're excited about is in the most Amazonian way, rather than just saying, hey, dump your money in and press a button and we'll drive results based on our criteria of what we say are results. You can now go in Report Center, or you could go into AMC and understand what were the audiences that actually drove this in Performance Plus? What were the sites that actually drove this? What were the placements that actually drove this? So you could understand more about your brand, more about your customers, or you could break out those audiences, break out those placements, break out deal IDs, or work directly with publishers and create specific promotions and specific creative to go after those specific pieces of your marketing plan that you want. So we're just kind of taking this philosophy with Performance Plus of, hey, you want simplicity, you want automation, you want these AI campaigns, but you also want to understand what's going on. This isn't just magic. I know AI seems like magic, but I want to understand what's going on, what's driving it, because I may have my own opinions of what I want to do with my brand and what new products I want to launch and what type of marketing I want to do. So I think those are the components that make up what the ad relevance models and machine learning are powering.
Something we've talked a lot about recently at Flywheel is like made for advertising. We call it junk inventory.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned the term brand protection, which is where I'm going with this. But I think it sounds like what you're talking about really helps tie in and with protecting your brand and having more control and transparency over where you are serving ads.
Yep.
If I'm understanding.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting debate. So there was a lot of press around made for advertising.
Yes.
But if you talk to some of the fraud experts, independent fraud experts in our industry. So for example, we're working with Jounce and IAS and Double Verify to make sure we have the latest and greatest lists of MFA sites that we should block. We also have our own internal traffic quality team that's using advanced machine learning for brand safety to understand, eliminate fraud, and identify low quality sites. But as some of the experts are talking about this, there's made for advertising, and then there's made for arbitrage, right? Yeah. So made for advertising, I could remember, this was maybe, 10, 15 years ago, a really smart woman at a large CPG sat me down and explained to me the origins of CPG advertising and how, I think it was Red Book magazine. She was like, we actually created and funded a Red Book magazine for certain lipstick brands and certain brands that we wanted to promote. So essentially, in its definition, some of the most premium magazine brands were made for advertising.
Yeah.
But when the industry uses the term made for advertising, they're using it in terms of these sites that are just popping ads all over the place. And that's really made for arbitrage. So understanding the difference between low quality made for arbitrage sites and sites that are mostly used for advertising and are high quality, once you start kind of splitting hairs of like the definitions of some of those sites, I think relying on machine learning and relying on the experts, the independent experts in the industry, that's what we're using to make sure we have the highest quality inventory we possibly can. We also give advertisers and agencies a lot of choice. So going into Inventory Hub, striking deals yourselves, and we provide preset deal libraries in Inventory Hub, and we're continuing to innovate on what are different ways that we can recommend inventory, recommend different contexts of ad quality based on the types of campaigns you're running. So more to come in that space from us.
Very cool. I could see our audience like drooling about this. It's such a like hot topic and something that we've talked about, and we only ever get our own internal perspective on this show specifically. So thank you for going into that.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff. Okay. I'd love to then move into, let's talk about fragmentation. Everyone's been talking about fragmentation for a long time because it impacts everyone and it's incredibly widespread. But I think we see so much change in the industry. There's a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of the people that run advertising for large CPG brands. But Amazon is continuing to launch products that help solve for this and tools all the time.
Yeah.
So can you tell me what's your team cooking up and or already serving when it comes to fragmentation?
Yeah. So when you're talking about fragmentation, are you talking about the infinite permutations of different ways you could target different audiences? Are you talking about inventory?
I believe we usually stick to inventory, but you can take it in any direction you choose.
Yeah, I think if you think about the spectrum of control and transparency, we talk a lot internally about what's the spectrum of control and transparency that an advertiser customer might want. And they probably want some degree of control so they can really operate and execute against their marketing goals and explore different hypotheses of what might work for their campaign. But also they get in a point where they're like, hey, look, I just need to drive the numbers this month. So we have a bunch of different experiments, but I just really want to drive the numbers this month and then come back to some of those more curious experiments of what may or may not work. So if you think about on one end of the spectrum, these opaque AI campaigns where it's, I call it the easy button and you just get results out the other end. And on the other end of the spectrum, you're hiring a bunch of engineers and building your own bidder on AWS. We like to think of ourselves as go 1 or 2 clicks in from either end of that. And on one end, you have things like Performance Plus, where it's like, hey, I want the value of simplicity where I just want to drive performance or I just want to drive scale, but the transparency of understanding what's really going on. And on the other end of the spectrum, you're setting up campaigns. You're selecting different audiences in Audience Builder, selecting contextual audiences, choosing from our standard catalog, going and talking to publishers and building out your own suite of deal IDs in Inventory Hub. And then you can even layer bid factors over that so you could really get that control of your experience, and you can activate your customer insights through AMC and query different paths to conversions. So we believe that customers aren't in one group or the other. We think that customers go back and forth. Customers have hey, we have a lean quarter. We just need to focus on the lower funnel and drive profitability.
Yeah.
Or, hey, we had a great quarter. Let's go for new customers. We're willing to spend at the top of the funnel and fill the top of the funnel. So we want to provide experiences where customers can quickly pivot their strategy and use the spectrum of control with transparency throughout that we offer in Amazon DSP and Amazon Ads in order to pivot their marketing plan based on their needs at that current time.
Lovely. I would love to. Can you tell me something? I covered this at Unbox with Amazon in October, but we talked about the Publisher Cloud. Can you tell me, how does that tie in at all, especially in what we were just talking about?
Yeah, so I'm actually doing a panel with Dotdash Meredith, I think tomorrow, to talk about how they're using it. But some names that in the press release that comes out this morning, HBO Max, Discovery, NBCU, Fox, Tubi, Dotdash Meredith, I think there are a couple others on there. But essentially, this gives an opportunity for publishers to use their insights and signals and bring them into the Amazon DSP and Amazon Ads world in a privacy-safe way, where they can get insights and understanding on how our audiences, like our standard catalog of audiences, scales against their inventory. Also, some of their contextual insights and different signals and packaging on their site. So they could package up deals and offer them to advertisers. So you can go into Inventory Hub, you can search APC, Amazon Publisher Cloud, and you can see all of these custom deals. So it's not just a publisher saying, hey, here's the top of my page, or here's a masthead at whatever CPM. It's the publisher saying, hey, here's this particular placement, and using either context as an intent signal, or we're using readers of Dotdash Meredith and understanding how their insights work against a particular advertiser's goals. So that it really creates an environment where we can use signals and insights in a privacy-safe way in this clean room experience to package up both inventory and particular signals that might drive results for an advertiser.
Sounds like it's kind of a win-win for everyone.
That's what we're going for.
I love it. Okay, I think I can begin to wrap us up so that you can move on with your day. But I'd love to know what the most exciting part of addressability is for you in the future and the things you're working on.
So everybody's talking about AI, and I think that invokes all sorts of different ideas. But I'm very interested in machine learning. I get really turned on by sitting with some of the scientists on our team and understanding how machine learning works. But what I'm more interested in is creating insights and reporting for advertisers so they can deeply understand how some of these machine learning and AI algorithms work, and they can kind of tune their inputs into the system a little better. Things like lifetime value, right? So I love the idea of having machine learning pick my audiences or pick my publishers, but can I steer it to go after customers that aren't so interested in my product, or customers that used to buy from me but don't buy anymore, or my high value customers? So essentially using different tooling in this system to drive specific value. And I always think of it as using machine learning to get back to marketing. So rather than like getting advertisers and marketers in the business of using ad tech, and I love ad tech. I think it's so cool. But I think marketers like marketing and want to use ad tech and machine learning to do marketing. So I just like this concept of getting back to marketing and using these tools to get back to marketing.
I love it. That was a great answer. Perfect. All right. I think that is everything. Thank you so much for your time. I enjoyed this. I think our audience will also enjoy this a lot.
Thank you.
And that wraps up this episode of the Commerce Collective podcast, recorded live from Amazon Port at Cannes. Please help us share this episode, and as always, you can contact me to learn more about Flywheel. Thank you to Brian and the Amazon Ads team, and we will see you next time.